So today we're going to be reviewing the perfect passive participle. This is found in stage 21 of the Cambridge Latin course. This is the green book. If you're using the digital version on the iPad, it's going to be the stage 21 chapter, page 10. Before we get into the perfect passive participle though, we need to remember what is a participle. And so a participle is just a verbal adjective. Alright? So it's a verb form that functions like an adjective in the sentence, in its most basic definition. And we've already learned one of these types of participles. We've learned the present active participle, alright? Identifiable by that NT. So, for example, sedentem, sitting, or amans, loving, alright? And we translate those with the ing. Okay, so they come from the present stem. They have this form added into them, and that's what makes them a participle. Now, the perfect passive participle doesn't have a nice signifier that we get to use to identify it. All right, and the reason for that is the perfect passive participle also functions as one of the principal parts for verbs. So we've already learned 3 principal parts for verbs. All right, we've learned the first principal part, which is the present. All right, the present first person singular. We've learned the second principal part, which is the same as the infinitive. All right, and we've learned the third principal part, which is the perfect tense, and that's where we get our perfect stem from. All right. Now we're going to add one more principal part. And luckily, though, this is the last principal part. All right? So we have amatus. And this final principal part, this fourth principal part, is our perfect passive participle. All right? So, unfortunately, we have to memorize a lot of this. There are some patterns out there, but most of the way you're going to identify the perfect passive participle is memorized in the 4 principal parts of the verbs, which you should be doing for your vocabulary memorization already. All right? The perfect passive participle gets translated as with a having been. Having been verbed. All right? So here, amatus, having been loved. Okay? Or if we go Quito, ex quitare, ex quitavi, ex quitatus. All right, having having urged on, having been urged on, having been excited. All right. If we have datus, which is the 4th principal part of do, dare, dedi, datus, having been given. All right? So that having been is going to be the key indicator for when you're translating a perfect passive participle. All right? Perfect passive participles are nice in the fact that they follow the adjective group of the first and second declension. So the 2-1-2 adjective group, the adjectives that take their endings from first and second declension nouns, that's also where we have the perfect passive participle, that they use the same set of endings. So if we wanted to describe something that's feminine with excitatus, we would have to change excitatus to excitata. Or if it was something neuter, excitatum. All right. So those are the endings that we are going to be using for the perfect passive participle. One thing that kind of gives us a clue if there's a perfect passive participle in the sentence is a prepositional phrase. So perfect passive participles can sometimes work with a prepositional phrase. So in the book, you look on page 11, in part C, we have a couple of sentences. Faber ab architecto laudatus recit. The craftsman, having been praised by the architect, smiled, laughed. Right? And that phrase, architetto, sorry. There we go. Ab architecto lets us know that there's a perfect passive participle in the sentence. All right, it gives us a clue that there might be one there, because as we learned in stage 21, the preposition has an alternative translation different from the meaning of from. It can also mean by. All right, so this means by the architect, and that works with perfect passive participles to create a complete thought. All right, so. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the video or ask them in class. And that's all we have on perfect passive participles. If you'd like more practice, there are some example sentences on page 12 in section E. You can see them right there. Go ahead and translate those and bring them into class with any of your questions.